What up? All my scientists, my artists, my philosophers, my geneticists, my roboticists, my biologists, my archaeologists, my astronomers. Let's get busy.
One day.
This has been Busy from the Burbs.
2, 1. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Ben Busy from the Burbs, broadcasting to you from Osaka, Japan. I'm joined by my co-host, Trailer Park Master Chef Alan Moore. AJ's off today. Alan, what up?
What's up, man? How's it going?
It's going pretty damn fine, if I must say so myself.
I'm happy to be back. I took a little break there for a minute, huh?
Yeah, you're taking hiatus. You're making big deals happen down there in South Carolina.
Yeah, man. It's been rough lately. Lots of hours. That's good, though.
Lots of hours. Lots of hours. I don't know how much you want to get into the sensitive topic of your current profession, given the fact that you currently are employed where you are employed. I don't know about the security clearances. I don't know about the top secret nature of
it's really not too deep. There's probably some NDA stuff right now because some of the materials that we're working on are in development, and it's still in like an experimental phase. I could talk to you like in private about it, but okay. I probably wouldn't want to say it in public just because. But the fact of the matter is, there's just like a whole bunch of crazy like corporate takeover type shit going on right now,
really?
And it's kind of interesting to be like a neutral quality, because like quality assurance is by its in its own nature is neutral. Like you are just a neutral entity that observes and makes calls.
Yes,
period.
Yes. Exactly.
So like I'm sitting here just like observing this shit going on, and like people are about to get ousted. Like
ousted.
There's just like sweeps coming through with like the supervisor has just gotten to the point where let's just say shit's about to change, and probably for the better.
Really?
There's like an engineer war going on there right now. But it's kind of crazy. I can't really go too much more in depth though. That's about all I can say.
That sounds really dramatic, really interesting.
It is crazy. And then like stack like massive workloads and like 50-hour weeks with just this soap opera going on.
Wow, that's really incredible.
It's nuts, man.
Now, I mean, maybe you can't say, but how long have you been working there?
A little over 6 months.
Wow, 6 months, engineer war, bam, it's happening, engineer gate, things are happening, things are changing, people are getting fired, people are getting murdered maybe, there's a lot of intrigue happening, poisoning, assassinations.
The Agricultural Commission, I hear, is...
North Korean agents.
They're deep.
They're frogmen coming up on the beach.
Freemasons.
Freemasons.
The Freemasons of the cotton.
Everything. The Simpsons, Stonecutter Guild, all kinds of stuff is happening. Wow. Wild and crazy.
Secret societies, they're all the way up to Congress, man.
Yes,
Cottons
the
and
secret
shirts.
society. You remember, have you ever seen that bit that Dave Chappelle does where he's like in the basement of some London comedy club, and he does that bit about the guy that got tased at the John Kerry campaign speech?
Don't tase me, bro.
Yeah, the don't tase me, bro guy. He's like, isn't it true, Senator Kerry, that you were a member of Skull and Bones, a secret society? Bra, 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 bra.
You see him just like flash his eyebrows. He's like, oh, yes. He starts to answer. He's like, well, I was.
Yeah, that's
get
right.
This idiot. Get him. Get him. Get him.
Yeah.
And then those dudes just descended on him ever so gracefully. It was funny, man. That was crazy.
Ever so gracefully. The guy just came over and like pressed a fucking. What are those things called? They're called. There's a brand name for the taser, the Tasac, the Tay something, the Taste.
The fucking Night 5000.
Yeah, it's like the Nitron 5000. Yeah, it's like something like that, right?
Yeah.
Taser brands. We can look it up. Did you get a chance to catch the Republican debate?
No, I didn't yet. I need to, though.
It
I'm always
was
behind
hilarious.
a couple days.
Donald
Dude,
Trump was body slamming fools, man. It was
really.
Jeb Bush. Never have I ever seen a Bush look so diminutive, look so small.
Can we start making sad Jeb Bush memes? Because that's the only way I ever see his face now.
Yes, that's
it's
perfect.
only sad Jeb Bush.
Sad Jeb Bush with sad Keanu and who was the other sad meme? There's like sad Keanu, like sitting on the bench, whatever, looking sad.
There should be sad Ron Paul, because he only ever looks sad.
Because he only ever loses. Oh,
yeah.
I feel for Ron Paul. I really do. It's just like,
I do too.
I don't know. He couldn't make the conversion. That was. He had so many commonsensical
He was so about
points.
libertarianism, and like I said this before, and I'll say it again. Like libertarianism in its purest form functions. It works, but we've already put a hand in the system. Like you can't something at its core that should be a pure thing. You can't meddle in it and expect it to work how you want it to.
Yeah.
Like they fucked with it already. You initiated social programs. Like the idea of a purist capitalist society is not gonna work. That's it.
Right. Yeah. We're beyond the pale on that. I mean.
Yeah.
Now it's just like there's this dance that's taking place, and that will inevitably eventuate in some kind of utopian level, provided we don't do something stupid, but some like utopian level technocracy, or not, I'm sorry, technological, like, I don't know, egalitarian kind of, everybody does what they want, anarchic system of governance, where there's you're extending forward from the principle of non-aggression, okay? Provided that you're not hurting anyone, you can do whatever the fuck you want. But then we still run into issues with, like, adjudication. If there's a disagreement between two parties, who adjudicates?
Those parties, most of the time, they're going to fight. It's just
they're going to fight, right? Everyone's going to have their own, like, militia.
Eventually someone is going to fight.
Unless the technology at that point is able to efficiently govern, like, in other words, consider a future in which an AI is responsible for making all of the decisions and distributing all of the, the resources. Then you might be able to get away with it there.
I mean, but like, at what level would we be living at? That everyone could really be living in probably a really good way, actually, if that was how everything functioned. What would be weird if it ended up being that like almost Clockwork Orange, like stark future, where like it's cool at first, but then it just degrades into something crazy. But I think that would be like hundreds of years in the future before you would ever even see some sort of major development that would either be positive or negative to that extreme.
It's so interesting to consider the reverse, or what you would call, when you apprehend something, when you consider something teleologically. Have you ever heard this word teleologically?
No, you got me.
It comes from the Greek word telos, which means the end, and you get words like telomeres, which are the caps on the end of the DNA, and you get this word teleology. Teleologically is when you consider things from the inverse position temporally, in that when you consider an event that takes place, you think of it in one way, right? Okay, I shoot the arrow, I pull the string on the bow back, I let the arrow go, then it goes forward, right? But the teleological interpretation of that deals from a future state, somewhere off in the strange attractor future, somewhere distant, that's actually causing events in the past to happen in some kind of
so like it occurs
order.
In reverse order.
Right. And when you consider these systems of governance, when you consider the technology, it's kind of interesting to think that what if the computer that is governing the universe in the future, that we have no existential connection to, or I'm sorry, we have no, what's the word for it? We have no meaningful means to communicate to the future, right? But what if this computer is actually causing its own creation, and that everything that we are doing now is kind of this...
Due to an omnipresent machine from the future.
Yes, it's like an echo from the future.
But see, like, then you get into that, like, chicken or the egg argument.
Right.
Because at what point did it get created to be able to create itself from the future? And what event would have occurred that required it to need to create itself from the future?
This is some heavy shit, man. Heavy shit. We are on the brink of a Nobel prize in physics here, I think. We could be the ones.
I think we're just anecdotally. I'm anecdotally speaking about shit I don't know.
Yeah,
I might as
we're
well just like be posting on spiritscience.com.
This is bro science. This is unabashed and
Yeah, it doesn't mean
unashamed bro
anything.
science.
It's all
Bryant's.
Have you ever seen that? There's these new videos online. I kind of wanted to bring this up. This is kind of interesting. There's these videos online now, and I have to find them so you could look them up. But basically, it's this guy standing in front of a whiteboard, and he's like giving these lessons on how the universe works from like a spirit science point of view. And like it's very bizarre.
Wait, is it that guy
dude.
Haradim or whatever? Harim?
It might be him, yeah. And it's so confusing because like what he's saying doesn't make any sense. He's just like saying gibberish riff like bullshit that doesn't mean anything. He's drawing arrows around the chalkboard like John Madden that just fucking ripped up a line of bath salts. And like he's just like saying like people are here and their middle spirit attaches to the sky and basically and he's speaking about it like it's factual physics. This dude is speaking about these things like they are real and like you literally have no idea what you're talking about.
And it's
if
like
you don't think
it
they're
has
real.
like a pretty high production value. Like all of the videos are like
it looks
really
like he's in a classroom setting.
Yeah, I think you're talking about Nassim Haramein. Or Nassim Haramein?
Hamed?
No.
No, this is a boxer.
Nassim Haramein. I'm going to link you. I want you to tell me if this is the guy. Now, if it's true what he's saying, I think it's wonderful. Okay? I think it's great. That's not him?
But looks similar to the same type of shit. This guy is different. Let's see. Spirit.
This guy actually might
Spirit
be
Science
realistic.
Explained.
This guy was at TEDx. He's talked at Google. I mean, he's pretty legit.
Is he?
Yeah.
Do you think his stuff is legit, or do you think that he's like quote unquote legit?
I don't know, man. He's more legit than Deepak Chopra. Okay, let's put it that way. He's more legit than Deepak Chopra.
Yeah, I don't even know who that is.
Deepak
is that like
Chopra
the yogi guy?
Yeah, he's like.
Yeah, those dudes are full of shit.
He's like, all you have to do is just. It's like The Secret. Remember The Secret? Like if you just concentrate.
Yeah, if you just like you think it into existence, it'll work.
Yeah.
It's like tell that to like homeless children in Liberia. I'm sure they fucking think about a potato for long enough, an AK-47 bullet might hit them in the head.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Come on.
Like things are a little more corporeal on that level.
Yeah.
You're not going to meditate yourself out of escaping mortar fire. You know, it's like it doesn't work like that. But there is something to be said about positive thinking, right? I mean,
no, absolutely.
I think
without a shadow of a doubt.
We need to understand maybe on a much finer scale resolution. This brings up the guy Wim Hof. Are you familiar with this guy Wim Hof? He was on the Rogan show a couple weeks ago.
Dude, I haven't even gotten to watch the Rogan show in a while, and I really need to because I saw that come out and it looked really interesting.
Yeah, the Iceman.
Yeah. Oh, he's the guy that he can heat up his core temperature and like jump into fucking icy cold waters and stay there for like extended amounts of time, right?
Yeah, and he does this all using his breath. He's studied for many years. He's studied many esoteric systems of meditation and Kundalini yoga and Taoist internal alchemy and the list goes on and on and on. The different systems that he studied. And, you know, it all just comes down to the breath, he says. And I don't really know about the technique. I don't know if this guy's just a charlatan, but I mean, he had Rogan on the fucking hook, man. Like,
really?
He could just be a rather extraordinary human being. You know, there are examples of that. Michael Jordan, freaking whoever, insert name of athlete who is amazing here.
Well, here's the thing. There's other people who do that type of thing too. So, as amazing as that is, this isn't the only person that can do it.
Right.
And people can condition their bodies to withstand a whole range and multitude of different environments. Our bodies are super adaptable. It's proven time and time again, like we're the most adaptable species on Earth. That's why we don't fucking die. So, if you jump into an icy lake a bunch of times, you're probably going to be able to stay in a little bit longer every time you do it.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying that I can speak to this. I'm not trying to downgrade the feat because it's fucking absurd.
Yeah, it's absurd. This is what sets him apart. what sets him apart is that he presumably is trying to do everything under the observant lens of science. Okay, so he subjected himself to all of these what do you call them? Just tests, right? All of this scrutiny, and he has all these labs at major universities around the world testing his blood. They infected him with an endotoxin, and he proved that he had the ability, and he could train this ability in other people. That was the thing, was that it's not just that he's some freak of nature that's able to do this. It's that he's able to transfer this method to another person, complete noob, and get them to do it as well. And it was found in the endotoxin test that he was able to train people to take control of their own immune system.
Ooh. See, I would like to see the results of this study and not just like the anecdotal evidence.
Right, exactly.
I'm sure he provided links, or I'm hoping he provided links on the show for some of that info.
Right. I think
because just to run around and say stuff like that, without having proof is kind of,
it's total bullshit. Can't do that.
Yeah, he's really. I can't say it's bullshit, but like.
No, I mean to like provide.
He's had people on the show before who've been like, man, I've been in contact with the FBI since the '60s. I've been chasing UFOs, and they know they're there. And there's symbols in the sky. This dude is so nuts.
Did you see the video I posted on Facebook of fucking Alex Jones confronting the people at Google?
I was dying. I only could watch like 45 seconds of it.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
I had to turn it off.
He's like one of my friends, Joe Computo, who's a great EDM producer. He comments on the thread. He's like, "Oh yeah, because confronting Google's catering staff is really going to unlock the mysteries of the Illuminati." Like, way to go, bro.
It's like all that dude does is ring people up, and all that girl does is serve hot dogs.
That's all she does.
And he's like, does the programming for the cameras there?
That's assault, right? That's assault.
I literally watched 45 seconds.
Alex Jones here.
Watch anymore.
Yeah.
He's so crazy.
Yeah. He's so. And have you seen the? I linked before that. I mean, he's just like.
Were you talking about the colloidal silver?
Yes.
Guy?
His own
site. This might be off topic from what you were talking about, but I just can't stop thinking about this Santa Claus looking dude that turned blue.
Oh yeah, the colloidal silver guy. Yeah,
my God.
That guy died.
He's like a GNC for vampire hunters.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly.
Have I said this already?
Yeah, you said that on the link.
I can't remember.
GNC for vampire hunters. So, for those who don't know, Alex Jones, the awesome, the hilarious, the quite serious.
Friends, he just is
Alex
so
Jones.
Starved for attention. It's ridiculous.
He has his own vitamin line. Like Rogan has Onnit.com. There's an Onnit for vampire hunters. There's a GNC for vampire hunters, and the stuff that Alex Jones, he does commercials for this stuff, and they're hilarious because number one, it's Alex Jones' voice, like trying to sell you. Fish oil or whatever, and like trying to relate that to the coming transhuman apocalypse or whatever he wants to refer
You gotta
to.
buy some of my fish oil. How would Alex Jones sell fish oil?
He's got ridiculous names for this stuff too. What is it called? Infowars Life. Infowarslife.com.
Yeah.
Let's just look at one of these. Oxy powder. Liver shield. He literally has. It's like for people that like to drink whiskey a lot. Liver shield. Get your liver shield now.
Oh
Ancient
my God.
defense. He's got. I mean, this is like. It looks like. What's that stuff that Richard Dawkins rails against? It's like. It's like diluted a million times. Homeopathic. This looks like homeopathic jars of homeopathic stuff. He's got super male vitality, ancient defense, survival shield X2, nascent iodine, liver shield, brain force. This is his. You know how on it has alpha brain? It's supposed to enhance cognition. He has Brain Force. Brainforce.com. What else do we have? Lung Cleanse, Vitamin B12, Knockout Sleep, Sleep. What is it called? Sleep Report? Prostagard.
He has so much stuff on here, it's ridiculous.
Yes.
It's just shit. It's just all shit.
It's all shit. It's
just literally snake oil. And like, it's funny to me
Exactly.
that Joe Rogan is friends with him. Which, like, whatever, you be
It's
friends
kind of
with
like
anyone.
a-
I'm not judging anybody,
it's
but he always
tongue-in-cheek.
makes the snake oil joke.
He
And
Joe
he's friends
understands.
with a snake oil salesman.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of hilarious. But the thing with Joe is like Joe's kind of tongue in cheek with Alex. He knows that like it's kind of absurd. He's made some ridiculous claims. You know, it's kind of tongue in cheek. And if you watch, there was an episode of InfoWars where Joey Diaz and Joe go on the show, and it's kind of hilarious. Like it's like
I kind of got to watch it.
it's they're totally not taking it seriously. They're totally like poking fun at Alex. You know, it's all in good fun. You know,
And he's getting all mad and shit.
how much of what Alex Jones does is actually meant to be educational, and how much of it is meant to be entertainment? You don't know. He kind of strikes this Andy Kaufman-like character where you can't tell where the spectacle leaves off and where the actual information begins. There's this
But he's had like a long history of this behavior. So like, I don't know if he is a genius like that, which I don't know if that's true or not. And maybe that's part of the magic.
Yeah.
If he is like an Andy Kaufman type character where he's just like living this character forever because it's funny and nobody else has to get the joke.
Right.
Just you.
Yeah.
And
right,
then it ends up
exactly.
being like classic. Like 20 years from now, we can find out that he's just been full of shit this whole time, and he's actually like a Birkenstock wearing hippie that just like
Mega
walks
troll.
around and like
Yeah.
eats loads of weed edibles. Like that dude.
Or he is an agent of the Illuminati. I love those ones where you have people who are so paranoid that they're considering that Alex Jones himself is an agent of CIA who
He's
has
an
been
implant.
tasked with rounding up all the crazies into his crazy network so that they can all be eliminated in one fell swoop, like Protocol 66. You know, like it's like
there's all kinds of crazy stuff like that. Or people who say that or make claims like people like him are disinformation spreaders. Like you've been contracted by the CIA to just spread.
It's like, no, man.
misinformation to the
I know
public.
the real story behind chemtrails, man. You're not giving the
real.
straight dope on chemtrails, man.
Oh my god, chemtrails. When did that even become popular again? Wasn't that like an old thing that just came back as being like super popular?
It's like always
People-
been around.
There's
since-
chemicals in the clouds, man. There's
Chemicals
fucking
in the
chemtrails.
sky,
They're gonna
man.
drown you out. Like that's not real.
With that said, there was a test that was done by the U.S. government where they sprayed this chemical in the air, and it allowed them to see what the propagation of a particle would be like over a given area. I think they did it in Detroit. This was in like the 60s, 50s, 70s, sometime there. They were looking to see what the propagation of a given particle, if it was sprayed from a certain altitude, would affect. So that has been done. However, chemtrails have been firmly busted as far as myths are concerned. I think Mythbusters busted it. Rogan busted it on his sci-fi show. It's just bullshit.
It's really simple science. Like, okay, you see fog, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's because there's hot air and low air, or high pressure and low pressure in the morning, and it causes like high amounts of humidity in the air, and all this bro science I'm talking about makes fog. You have a plane that's burning a jet engine at like 2 miles up or a mile up.
Yeah,
and it's going fast as shit, and it's freezing up there. It's gonna make trails. I think it's just gonna happen. It's condensation, man. Like, I don't see why people think that that's a chemical spray. And if you ever, like, I don't see how you would even make that disperse. You know? The stuff, how would you even disperse that over a large area? Like, is rain clouds going to pick it up and, like, poop it out on everything? I doubt it. It just doesn't seem like a very efficient way to go about poisoning people. We have water supplies.
Yeah, right, exactly. You just
Like,
do that
and then
via
here
the
they
water.
go. You got fluoride in your water, man.
Yeah, that's right. It inevitably changes to that. Like, there's fluoride in the water, man.
They are already poisoning the water, man.
Oh.
You got fucking
There's-
chemtrails, and you got.
Yeah. And then the debate goes over, and I've been getting into this with good friends of mine who are really intelligent. Okay, really, really intelligent. Who
that's
are
always
really
frustrating.
anti-GMO. They're
Yeah.
really anti-GMO, and I'm like, really though? Like, you really think there's a conspiracy for Monsanto to build pesticide-resistant plants just so they can use more pesticide? Like,
Yeah, there's no benefit in that.
there's no benefit in that. Like,
Yeah.
these people, they latch on to the fact that during the 60s, 50s and 60s, Monsanto was one of a number of chemical companies that was manufacturing dioxin that was then went on to be used in Agent Orange. And they latch on to this, and there's nothing that can be done. Like, they're just like,
Yeah.
they're convicted before there's even a trial in the minds of all these people who are like, well, okay, Monsanto is genetically modifying my food. How dare you? Like, yeah, no shit. Like, that's what we've been doing since the
this whole
dawn of
time.
modern agriculture.
Yeah, there was like a monk that did this with snow peas or
Mm-hmm.
sweet peas to like prove genetic diversity.
Right.
Like back before anyone could write in modern English.
Right.
So like, people have been genetically splicing shit for a very long time. And I think that people really overlook the benefits of GMO because of this weird health craze. And like, I
Yeah,
get
you
it.
get
Like,
the
you don't
food
want shit
babes.
sprayed on your food. That's great. But that doesn't have anything to do with the reason. If you look at like a sweet GMO apple sitting next to an organic apple,
Yeah. Oh, there's no.
it's
like,
kind
no
of blatant the benefit. Like, the
Oh,
food
yeah.
is huge and
Yeah.
less expensive.
Yeah.
So, and like in some cases, there is organic stuff that's better quality, maybe because it's grown in smaller batches, maybe because it's paid more attention to. But
Yeah, that's
that's
right.
not to say that GMO doesn't also produce very good food.
Right. Exactly. For like vast quantities, vast.
Yeah. The
like,
only problem
swaths
I
of
have,
people.
the bone I do have to pick with Monsanto is the same bone I have to pick with any corporation that
I like
kind
how
of
you said that.
operates in shady
Monsanto.
practices.
Monsanto.
Monsanto.
That's
but
like the
they
aristocratic pronunciation.
Yeah. My problem is that they sell those seeds to these farmers on contract. They make them give the seeds
yeah.
back so they can't use them. I get it. But
They're
you have to
Terminator
admit
seeds.
that that's kind of a weird thing.
Yeah, it's
Like,
DRM
you can't keep
for
the seeds. And it's only because they're like, and it keeps these farmers from being able to like create their own empire, which is
Right.
kind of unfortunate because they're also making them throw away all these surplus crops and they're paying them stipends to throw them away.
Yeah, not for nothing.
When in
like,
reality, we should probably be taking these fucking crops and like sending them to places that don't have any food.
So I can't speak. Yeah, okay, that's true. No one's gonna argue with that. We
Yeah,
have
there's
to be
like
doing
tons of
that.
places in America
But-
where like there's food needed.
But I know personally a farmer who is rich as fuck.
Oh, yeah,
like,
they're rich as fuck.
disgustingly rich.
Yeah,
They can
yeah.
afford to pay Monsanto for the seeds for each yield, but
And they make tons of money, but it's still kind of a weird monopoly thing that they're allowed to do, and it's like a loophole.
right.
Because they basically own these farms.
yeah, and
Like,
they're like subscription.
The farmer might be getting rich, but he's not getting out of that contract.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
unscathed anyway.
And then he has expenses too. Like, that's the thing. People give rich people a lot of shit, but they buy more expensive shit. They're just as poor. They're not as liquid as any of us. You know what I mean? Like, anyone.
Yeah. Well,
But-
it depends, I think, your level of richness.
Yeah, that's true as well.
Like, once you're past a certain point, you can pretty much go venture capitalist and do whatever the fuck you want. You're
Before
probably
we-
never going to fail.
Before we get too far from the GMO debate, now I talked
yeah.
about my friends who are intelligent, who are bringing up actually pretty interesting, valid, conversation-worthy, debate-worthy points. One of my friends, who I will not name until I get permission, maybe I can have this person on the podcast at a later date, but they were bringing up contentions as to what does the Bt toxin splicing and the pesticide resistant or Roundup Ready, they call it Roundup Ready, when they genetically modify a plant to be Roundup Ready so that it can be exposed to higher concentrations of the pesticide. What is this doing, and what are the pesticides doing to the soil microbiome? Now, in recent years, or within the year, I think it's really blown up, but for some time we've known about the microbiome, which is the delicate, or not so delicate, quite resilient network of bacteria and microbacterium that exist in a kind of coexistent fashion that have all of these wonderful benefits in terms of energy extraction. Like we have bacteria in our gut that helps us to digest food, extract energy, so on and so forth. Those same bacteria exist in different proliferation in the soil. This person's question was, what is this doing to that microbiome? I think that's a good question to ask, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like we should do the research and find out, but just to demonize it off the bat, you know, that's a thing that's also kind of unfair.
Right.
Now, granted, speaking of this GMO thing, me and Stephanie had actually watched a TED Talk a while ago about this, and they've actually found that this was actually in plastics and things of that nature that are exposed to, or they're exposed to runoff basically. So like there ends up being like levels of plastomers in the soil and water and stuff. And they have these frogs that they find who are getting exposed to this stuff over long periods of time. And what they're coming to find out is that this runoff is causing them, and this is in like agricultural like fields and stuff,
Right.
like owned by Monsanto. So they this runoff is causing them to literally have gender issues. Like they're literally having gender identity issues. They're being born as like transvestites. They'll be born with both genitalia. I think they even said they had one that impregnated itself. Very bizarre stuff. Very bizarre stuff that was happening.
Okay.
And a lot of like gender role switching where like the male or the females would be impregnating the males. Like very odd types of stuff. Yeah, it was really crazy. I'm trying to find it right now.
They call that cryptobiology, cryptozoology, or like crypto sexology. I don't know. I don't know what the word is.
Something crazy.
Like, I wonder if that's happening somewhere with humans, like living near farms where there's like multiple generations, and it's like the women are like impregnating the men, and like something crazy has happened in the human species. I don't think that. I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be. I wouldn't like be like, ew, gross. Like I wouldn't be bigoted or anything. I'd be like, look, this is just a situation that we're dealing with now, and it is what it is. These people are still human beings. They should still be respected and given the rights that they deserve. You know, life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness.
The TED Talk I was talking about is given by a guy named Tyrone Haynes, who's like a frog expert. It's actually funny because he mentioned, he was like, man, I'm a frog expert. I never really thought I would end up on a TED Talk about poisonous babies. So basically, I just want to read this quote because it's actually very interesting. This is a part of it. But he's like, it was a surprise to me as well that I would be talking about pesticides, the fact that I'd be talking about public health, because in fact, I never thought I would do anything useful. Because I'm an expert in frogs. In fact, my involvement in the whole pesticide issue was sort of a surprise as well. When I was approached by the largest chemical company in the world, and they asked me if I would evaluate how atrazine affected amphibians or my frogs. It turns out atrazine is the largest selling product for the largest chemical company in the world. It is the #1 contaminant of groundwater, drinking water, rainwater. And in 2003, after my studies, it was banned in the European Union. But in that same year, the United States EPA re-registered the compound.
See, this is what happens. Like, we re-register the compound. This is what's happening with SSRIs. The FDA was under so much pressure because so many people were auto-murdering themselves, were suiciding, that they had to label it with may increase suicidal tendencies or whatever, ideations, that they had to reclassify SSRIs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the fact that we even dabble in things like SSRIs is kind of crazy, or the fact that we're giving people things that aren't necessarily going to help you. We just have to take it and see and find out if it helps you,
Mm-hmm.
and it causes bad reactions in people, and reactions that a lot of times are violent and not good for anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there needs to be more time going into studies, especially with things like SSRIs or like, um, or uh, antidepressants and things of that nature before they just start shoving them down people's necks.
Yeah.
Because now it's coming to find out we went through this whole like pharmaceutical age from like the between like 1980 and like probably 2010, and everyone started after 2010. Everyone was like, "Holy fuck! Like, why is everyone addicted to fucking morphine and like
Right.
Roxy's and
OxyContin.
shit? Roxy's like in Florida, they have those pill mills all over the place. Like they're going away now, but like I remember back in the day, like my brothers have friends who are in jail now for like forging prescription strips. So they
Right.
would just go into the doctor's office and steal the script pad and leave,
Yeah.
and they would just write out their own prescriptions and no one would ever check.
Yeah. I have
So
people close to me who almost went to prison for robbing pharmacies.
yeah, that stuff will fuck you up, man, and that's all synthetic.
Yeah.
All of it's like manufactured, and
Well, I
it's
think we
crazy to
should.
me that something that can kill somebody so fast
I
and
think
make
that we
somebody do
should.
basically whatever you want
Right.
is legal. Like it's fucking absurd, especially that it's used for pain when it really has no proof that it even helps with pain at all.
Well, then you know what? What ends up happening though is that people have this knee-jerk reaction where they see these headlines. Okay, these medicines are like destroying people's minds, and they're making frogs turn into fucking gender flip or whatever. And
Yeah.
they freak out, and then they go all the way to the other extreme, which is the food babe end, where she says a few facts about what airplanes do to your body. This is a quote. When your body is in the air at a seriously high altitude, your body undergoes some serious pressure. Just think about it. Airplanes thrive in places we don't. You are traveling in a pressurized cabin, man. And when your body is pressurized, like, it gets really compressed. Compression leads to all sorts of issues. First off, your body's digestive organs start to shrink, taxing your ability to digest large quantities of food. Secondly, this compression reduces the ability for your body to normally circulate blood through your blood vessels. And she goes on and on and on. There's a quote that she said, "There is no amount of chemical that is safe to ingest." And I'm like, you idiot.
I
It's
really
all
hope
chemicals.
this is tongue in cheek. Is that tongue in cheek or is that like?
She's
Is that
totally serious.
Oh my god, it's like it sounds like
Foodbabe.com.
it sounds like a Tumblr girl.
She is. She's basically, yeah, she is.
Ugh,
So
the worst type of
you
person
have
on
to
the
contend
internet.
with people like that, or people who just throw out the science of genetic modification, lock, stock, and barrel, and it's like, you idiot, we need that gun.
Yeah, you can't say that doesn't exist because it doesn't make you feel good.
Right.
It's still there.
Right. You can't say that it shouldn't exist because you don't have like all of the information. These people who are decreeing the people who decry genetic modification have no idea of the billions of people whose lives it has saved. Golden rice, for one example, like it's fed
That was
so
going
many
away.
people.
That shit was gonna die.
Yeah.
It would have been no more.
Fortifying all of the fortification that's being done to genetically modify different plants such that they are able to be fortified with different vitamins and
Yeah.
like
Isn't
vitamin
it
A
weird that people
fortification.
look at that as being a bad thing?
Yeah.
Like, if I wanted extra vitamins in my food, I would. Like, you're complaining about something that's good for you.
How dare
You're
you
eating
take
that
away
for
my
the
nutritional
reason of
deficiency?
having that.
Yeah.
Like, I can understand. Like, we try to grow organic food here. Like, more for aesthetic. It's nice to have it. Like, I can grow it if I can. Like, it's fun. It's like a good challenge. But like, to say that it wouldn't be easier for me to just miracle grow the shit out of my garden and throw down some compost and like grow some super dope plants. I could do that too, and it would be pretty sweet and easy compared to how I have to do it.
Oh, for sure.
So, you know, and I think that it gets such a bad rap, and I think that it's just because there is like this soulless corporation involved, or if it feels like a soulless corporation, it can feel like a very cold thing because it doesn't.
Right.
There's no spokesperson for Monsanto really. They just do whatever.
Yeah, that's the
And I
problem.
think that they pick their bad spokespersons, like the guy that goes in there with that. Did you see that video? The guy goes in there with a pint of this pesticide.
Oh God, yeah. And he's like,
And
well,
he's just
it's
like,
perfectly
"Oh,
safe
yeah."
to
He's like,
drink.
"What?
It's like,
It's
okay, then
perfectly
drink
safe."
it. He's like, what? I'm
He's
not
like-
an idiot. Yeah.
He goes, "Well, if it's safe to drink, then drink it." And he goes, "Well, I'm not gonna, I'm." He goes, "No, well, I mean, if it's safe, you should drink it." He goes, "Well, why don't you drink it?" And he goes, "You said it's safe."
Right.
And the guy's like, "Well, I'm not an idiot."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that didn't look so good.
Like,
That didn't look so good.
You shouldn't ever have brought the pint of that. It's just like the loaded, like whoever
Here's-
made him do that should have.
Here's a question I have. Broad stroke question. Are we
Sure.
creating more problems than we are solving in the solutions that we are creating? Or are
In
we
what
actually
way?
or is life getting better?
I like to think so.
I like to think so.
Yeah, I don't wanna sit here and mope and say it's so terrible. Shit's crazy,
Yeah.
The shit you gotta fucking man up and deal with. But
Yeah.
I think that stuff's getting better, man. It's just I like the way everything's going. I like the progressive mindset, man. It's good to move forward. Why do you want to stay stuck in the fucking past? Like the past hasn't been working this whole time.
Yeah.
Like how about we move forward and try something different?
Right.
Like,
Speaking of moving forward and trying something different, cancer-fighting viruses win approval. I still have not seen the Vice documentary on this. Apparently, it was really well done. Talking about the research, they're using viruses to kill cancer. But U.S. regulators clear of viral melanoma therapy, paving the way for a promising field with a checkered past. This was in nature.com. I'll provide the link. It's pretty exciting stuff. Moving forward, we're scared of robots because we're scared of humans. Fear can't hide forever. This article on Vice. What do you think about robots? Are you afraid of robots?
no, I think that they're tools just like anything else is a tool.
Mm-hmm.
They're just more useful tools because they can perform the same functions we can perform more efficiently.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that people attribute human attributes to a tool,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's where it gets lost in translation. Like automatically robots want to take over the world because they're human-like. Well, they can only do what you program them to do.
Well,
So-
with AI though, I mean, there's the potential for them to
Eventually, yeah, but I'm not
reprogram
afraid of
themselves.
that. You can still, it could program itself potentially, but we would ultimately have control and I hope we would have enough control to have that thing isolated.
Some kind of kill switch, like
You would
in
have
quarantine.
to have it isolated. That would be the only way it could work.
I think we've
Because if you let
discussed
something
this.
like that go, it could become a virus. It could do
Right.
something crazy and fuck everything up.
Become
You couldn't let it
malicious.
loose on the internet. That could be the worst thing.
It would just like matrix the planet. It could do that
Yeah.
if it had the manufacturing capacity. There are, and we've talked about this in podcasts previously, there are factories which are run almost entirely without any human beings. Now, there's a huge spike in automated factories in China and Korea now. Of course, Japan led the way with that. There's also the potential for disaster that can only be offset, some scientists suggest, with a kill switch for the internet. Because the internet would be the highway around which the Skynet would distribute itself. And scientists have proposed that there be a kill switch for the internet where you have like 15 scientists around the world who have these special keys. And when they all initiate their keys at the same time, that kills the internet, just as like a safety precaution kind of.
Yeah,
kill
we had
switch.
brought this up before. That actually it makes sense. And it's good that they distributed it through so many people that you need all of them to agree to it.
Right.
Because, ultimately, you couldn't just have one person making a decision like that. It's become too much. It's become too integrated in daily life
Yeah, the thing
to
is,
just allow somebody to have that responsibility as one
How would you
person.
set up the kill switch system in such a way, one, that it couldn't be like some evil government goes around, murders all the scientists, gets all the keys, right? Has the kill switch ability. And
Yeah.
two, how would you build it so that it would be isolated from the internet itself, such that the AI wouldn't be able to hack into that system?
Download the internet and allow it to move freely on the downloaded internet.
Boomses.
I mean, I feel like that would be it would have all the registries available to it, just like it would probably need to anyway to function correctly. If it's self-learning,
Internet
it's
in
only
your
learning what you
pocket.
either input or what it can access.
Right. It's not all clouded up. It's like in
Yeah.
one
And
pool
copies of the
water.
internet, if you could copy the internet, which you could copy the internet. It'd be insane. It's a huge task, but it's already done.
Yes.
Someone's done it. So you could easily.
NSA's done it. they're copying our internet right
Most
now
definitely.
as we speak.
They're copying our voices. They're
Yes.
just planning on coming to raid my house.
Yes, they are. SpaceX officially asked for permission to launch 4,000 Wi-Fi satellites.
I was so happy to hear
awesome.
this. I screamed across the house. I was like, Stephanie, they're killing him. They're going to
Yes.
kill him. Oh, Elon Musk, he's killing him. She's like, "Who's
Comcast,
Elon Musk?"
Verizon, die in a fire. Verizon, Comcast, SoftBank,
Jeez.
die.
Dude, no one's ever going to
Die
have to use
violently.
phone companies. If you have internet all the time, you can just use whatever application has voice.
Right.
Like, but here's the thing. How expensive are those going to get? Or are they going to keep themselves the same and just pull in higher volumes to compete with the phone companies?
Are you talking about SpaceX's Wi-Fi
Well,
distributed internet?
I'm sorry, maybe
there's a
that was
couple
too
companies.
vague.
Google's
so,
doing
like, let's
this
just
too.
say SpaceX blasts up a bunch of fucking satellites. Everybody in the world has access to internet. Just we're saying maybe if this happens. So let's just pretend everyone has access to internet. So at this point now, you don't really even need phone service anymore, because I can take my phone, connect to the Wi-Fi wherever I'm at, and use a voice or a texting application instead of my phone, and just use the internet connection to make phone calls to whoever I want for free.
Right.
Or
Which
for
we've
whatever
been
small
doing for
monthly
quite some
fee.
time.
Yeah, and you
I
could do
rarely-
that without even ever having to fucking. Well, you don't do it because you're international, but here, like, you generally do use your phone quite a bit.
Right.
So, like, and Ben, you don't know about America.
America's changed a lot since you ain't
We
from
use our
around
phones
here,
here,
are you,
Ben.
boy?
I pay
ain't from around
$200 a
here.
month for 2 phones.
Yeah.
Welcome to America.
I haven't paid for an international call since I've been in Japan, since 2010.
Yeah, I never did. I think I did over Skype because I bought Skype credit, and that was the best thing I ever did, was because I could talk on the phone to people.
I would
just call
always
them
just
from my
use
computer.
Google Voice. I signed up for Google Voice so early that I'm in like the grandfathered mode where I don't have to pay a cent. I can call anywhere in the world from my Washington, D.C. number, which I had
You're so lucky.
programmed. Yeah, I was lucky because I got in really early on that. I saw Google Voice. It was like 2003. I was like, oh, that looks cool. I'll sign up for that. And I haven't had to add credit to it at all. Hopefully,
It's so cool
they
that they're
don't find
loyal to
out.
people who get in first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody talks about it
Because they could
either.
flip that on you if they wanted to.
Well, that's what I'm worried about now. When this goes to press, the Google AI is going to be crawling this, like the NSA. They're all in bed together, and they're going to be like, oh, start billing this guy. They'll back bill me. I'll get a bill for like $1 billion. They'll be like,
what if
"Yeah,
Google just
congratulations."
is the NSA?
Well, there was
if-
a lot to say that like Google was in bed with at a deep level with government, but there's been some push and pull on that as well.
Well, you see, I like when you see companies that basically tell the government no on certain regulations.
Yeah,
Well, they'll be like, oh,
Apple.
well, we want to do this and collect this data. They're like, that data's not yours,
Yeah, exactly.
and we're not giving it to you.
Yeah.
Well, you're gonna have to. Well,
No.
you might have to find it, and
Yeah,
we're probably
about
not gonna let you look, so you're not getting it. I think
Right.
Apple did something along those lines, didn't they? They were trying to get like a bunch of iTunes information. It was either iTunes or maybe Facebook, but they just like wanted everyone's passwords and shit.
Right.
And they were just like, yeah, no, we're good. That's not happening.
Not happening.
It's almost like they kind of occasionally they'll be like, we'll protect the people. But just so they keep clicking fucking trash links.
Question is, how
generating
do we
revenue.
ensure our safety? Like, are anyone willing to sacrifice their liberty for safety deserves neither, right? Didn't Ben Franklin say that? But
Yeah.
we need to be kept safe. The government needs to have reasonable means by which to listen in on people's conversations and look at the occasional poop hole. Like, they need to have that ability or that option. So long as they're subject to, judicial oversight or oversight on some level, where it's not just some
Yeah.
FISA court who's blanket approving every request. They're not even looking at them. It was
Yeah, you're just signing papers all day. You're just
you're just
copy
stamping.
paste X's and just
Stamping.
Control V, Control
Stamp.
V, Control V on
Stamp.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like this.
And it's messed up. That dude's probably making more money than me and you will ever see in our lives.
Oh, just by working that stamp.
Just
you work that
working a
stamp,
stamp.
girl. Work that stamp,
You
girl.
work that stamp. Do you think that the more he presses it, the fatter his signature gets because you just pounded out the fucking stamp so many times?
Yeah, right. The fatter his signature gets.
Yeah.
Oh, because the stamp is literally spread
It's
out.
just melting because
Yeah,
you're
it's
just
just,
smashing it
mushing.
against the paper so many times.
It's quite a possibility.
Yeah.
We'd have
He
to
probably
do
has to
some
change
tests.
his pad out every
That's
once
an
in a while.
important. I think that we should study that. Let's get our research scientists on that.
I can do
put this
it.
in the
I work
Get
in a
Busy
quality
research.
lab. I test hundreds of samples a day.
Yeah.
I could bust out some stamp tests.
This would be probably the last headline because we're closing in on the hour, but I want to get
Sounds
your
good to
opinion
me.
on this. Lockheed Martin, Boeing rally round Saudi Arabia, wave off humanitarian concerns. Lockheed Martin and Boeing officials says members of Congress shouldn't have qualms about Saudi Arabian human rights issues.
Oh my God.
What do you think about that?
I think that we need to disassociate ourselves from those companies.
It's so unethical, but then you have to
I can't even believe that was said.
It's a military industrial complex corporation. They produce as a main export weapons. You think that they have any ethical qualms with selling to... These are people that build things that kill people. Do you think they have any qualms with selling to Saudi Arabia, who gives a fuck about humanitarian concerns?
Do you remember talking to tech reps and stuff?
Yes.
It's really interesting how they looked at things. And it wasn't that they were bad people.
No.
But it's very businesslike. It's just what it is.
Right.
This is what we do. We design these things. It's very cool. They operate a certain way. But no one ever talks about the end function of the weapon.
Right.
When you're talking about...
You can't do it because then you wouldn't be able to sleep at night if you were thinking about it.
When you're talking about GBUs and you're talking about the amazing technology about how guide bomb units work. Mm-hmm. And it's so great. We can point with this laser and it's going to hit directly on target every time. It's great. It'll hit target. It'll hit right on target every time. Blah, blah, blah. And it's great. This is an amazing technology. But no one ever, even some really great tech reps I knew, they just never really talked about the end game.
Yeah, nobody at the higher levels because why? Because this is what's putting their kids through college. If I was at that position as well, I'd be like, yeah, I don't really fucking know or want to think about it. I mean, they just killed the bad guys.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, we were all in the same boat doing that. And there's not, you want to say there's nothing wrong with it, but I don't know. It's it just is what it is.
My issue is this. My issue is, okay, let's build those weapons for us to defend our country or our planet in the case of hostile invasion. But when we're giving them to Saudi Arabia, when we sell to countries that blatantly have terrible humanitarian records, I feel like there's certain ethical boundaries that have been breached, that have been, kind of
disregarded. And I think it's so blatant at this point. I have a hard time understanding that neoconservatives are a very interesting group to me, and they're
my favorite kind of people.
They're so weird, man. They're so locked into things. They just say things that aren't factual a lot of times. Like
Lindsey Graham recently cross-examining General Dunford and friggin' Secretary Ashton Carter, Defense.
He's so soft.
Oh, Ashton? Or
no,
fucking
Lindsey Graham.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
He's so
Ashton
soft. How are you going to cross-examine a
fight.
general?
Yeah, seriously. He was a colonel in the Air Force Reserve. With all due respect, I'm sorry, but you're talking to a fucking 4-star Marine Corps general. You're going to shut the
General
fuck up.
Dunford don't give a fuck.
He seriously doesn't. I commended him for not, like I said in the post on Facebook, for not butt stroking his pumpkin head. Lindsey Graham's eyes were bloodshot as fuck. He was obviously drunk. I mean, he appeared drunk. The senator from South Carolina appeared intoxicated.
Probably was. I wouldn't doubt it, man.
It was just so
I think
difficult to
our
watch.
whole every person that's involved in the political system here is kind of a wreck. Like everyone was so excited at that, you know, that they got so fast on the recovery effort and everything. But let's look at the events leading up to that recovery effort with the floods and stuff that happened. There's like multiple people getting shot, multiple black men getting shot.
Oh yeah.
So now we're like a centerpiece of like racism and violence, or
That
like
girl
what
just
people
got-
perceive as that. Now it was actually way better here when that stuff happened because people handled it a lot better. Shit didn't explode. They did damage control very quickly.
Right.
But I think that like those shootings and then that flood happening, they didn't want a repeat of like Louisiana. So I think that like back in 2009 or 2008, whenever that happened. So
Okay.
I think she jumped on it so quickly. I'm talking about Nikki Haley, because
Who is Nikki Haley, the governor?
Nikki Haley is our governor.
Okay.
She jumped on this so quickly because she has failed in all of her terms that she's been in. She has failed to fix any of the roads. She's failed to initiate any real major construction to fix the infrastructure in South Carolina, which to say it's crumbling would be reserved.
Yeah.
It's destroyed. It's horrible. Like, it's really just not good. It's unsafe. Like, driving on the roads when it's rainy is scary. You have to you have to move. I have to make sure I don't hydroplane. Like, I have to sit there and watch puddles in the road to make sure I'm not driving on them in the middle of the interstate. So like, no. And then like potholes. We have regular semis flipping all the time. Like,
What?
I've heard 3 semis in a week was the most I've heard.
Because those
And
guys
then
don't give a fuck. They're like
They'll
just
hit.
barreling
Well, they don't
down.
realize how narrow these fucking exits are. So what they'll do is they hit these exits doing like 70, expecting a big long turn, and then that shit cuts around into like trees and like hooks in because it's
Oh,
old as
God.
fuck. So they're going like 70 into an exit. And next thing you know, you're upside down, or you fucking clip a pothole or some nasty bump in the road that's like half collapsed, and you just flip your shit.
Ugh.
And like we saw during the summer, it was like 3 or 4 in a week, and then the next week it was another 2. So like this shit happens regularly. Anyway, I said that to say, I think that basically her quick reaction was basically just damage control to save face. And now she's like, there's massive construction going on in South Carolina. Like they're fixing all the roads down like by my house.
That's good.
All of the interstate is like getting replaced. But it's like too little too late now. You had to wait for a national disaster to happen
Yeah. You
to
shouldn't have
like
had to
start
have done
replacing shit. This should have been done. She hasn't done anything for the state, really. And people are like super in love with her, and I don't understand it.
that. Yeah.
But anyway,
At least things are looking up. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but
man,
Still, it's like it shouldn't take a disaster to get there. And like you said, like I don't know, there's just not enough pro-action. It's like the politicians will say anything to get elected, and then do the minimum necessary in order to keep their job until it comes close to election time, when all of a sudden
they blast
everyone
off.
snaps to and starts to
Yeah.
get shit done.
yeah. Did you notice like how low gas? Have you heard about how low gas prices have dropped over here?
No, how much?
Which I'm
is
sure
gas?
in part is because of fracking, but I'm sure it's mostly because of campaign trails too.
How much is
But
gas?
$1.76 per gallon.
Wow, I remember when it was like close to $10 at one point during the Iraq War.
Yeah, we got up to Florida was up to like 340.
That's
Was like
obscene.
normal. Yeah.
Yeah, I
But we
remember
were
at
off the Gulf
340
Coast too, so like we had oil rigs and stuff. So like ours wasn't so bad because we were closer.
Yeah.
But
It
yeah,
got
up north
really
got
high
terrible.
in the Northeast, man. It got
Yeah.
really, really high in the Northeast.
Yeah, I heard. I think England got really bad back then too. It was like 13 pounds a gallon or something, which would equate to like 24 US dollars back then. Oh, that shit's fucking crazy.
That's obscene.
Yeah. Well, it's good now, and I think Saudi Arabia is kind of feeling our fracking, which is kind of a mixed blessing, huh?
Yeah.
It's a weird thing. Where it's it's helping the economy, 100%, but it's fuck, man. We're taking some lumps to do it.
Yeah, we certainly are. Saudi Arabia is in for a rude awakening, both socially, with the people there. Saudi Arabian citizens are just going to be fed up. They're not going to want to be called Saudi anymore. They're going to want to just go back to being called Arabians, and maybe renaming that whole country just Arabia, doing away with the Saudis, the Saudi.
It's a really
royal
rich
family.
country, though, isn't it? How is the wealth divide there?
They're actually looking towards towards bankruptcy. I just read.
Yeah,
an
I heard
article
it's getting
about
pretty
that.
bad.
Like there are, and it struck me as so weird. I was like, how can this country, which is like the wealthiest that I know of, like you could pave the streets in gold, everyone drives a Lamborghini, how can they be nearing bankruptcy? And it's because there's no fiscal responsibility there. They are
everyone just buys whatever they want. You see
Yeah.
people like set Ferraris on fire in the street,
Right.
and then like get out and laugh, like, "What the fuck did I do?" Ha ha.
Right. I gotta go buy another
there
one.
goes a couple $1 million. Whoops.
Right.
Like
they're just
it's like
living beyond their means.
$4 to them. Yeah.
Yeah. Because
And then they probably have a lot of their money in oil. Well, now
it's
we're
all
not
in
buying
oil.
nearly.
What
We're not
else do
buying
they
nearly
make?
as much.
What else
Who
does
else is
Saudi
buying?
Arabia make? What
Nothing.
else?
They're an oil capital. 100%.
They are an oil
and like,
capital.
I hear stories about like they distribute wealth into they basically just give people money randomly.
Yeah, they
because
give
they
them
have
money
so
to
much
live
of it.
there. In order to have a citizenry, they actually pay people to live there. And now there's a geological report out from NOAA or some other organization that states that in the next 10 years, as soon as 10 years, it might be too hot to live in the Persian Gulf. It might
Wouldn't
be too
Saudi
hot.
Arabia be a perfect place to start like massive solar farms
Oh, yeah.
and like
That's what-
charge
yeah.
backloaded lithium batteries and like sell them as power cells?
Not all of the people within the Saudi hierarchy of the monarchy are idiots. There are some princes who are thinking about just that, about using.
It's the sunniest place ever.
Yeah.
Like, it's hot as dick. Like, you could probably make a whole shitload of solar power and somehow harness it for use. I don't know. But
Anyway, we're at the
it is
hour
what it
mark.
is.
If
That was
you
fun.
enjoyed this podcast, you found it entertaining, rewarding, please click the PayPal link, donate. We appreciate all of the money that's coming from you people to help us keep this podcast alive.
people.
Trailer Park MasterChef, Instagram.com/trailerparkmasterchef. Check out Alan. We're still waiting on those recipes, bro. Get busy.
I know I gotta get them. I got about a half a blog done too, but you can't rush creativity.
That's right. You can't rush it.
I need to stop procrastinating and get on it.
getbusypodcast.com. Please check us out. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one, all right?
Thank you.
World peace.
Later.